These are the new Aerofit 2 Pro headphones from Soundcore. They have just launched them at CES and they immediately caught my eye because of this 2-in-1 hybrid design where they can change between open-ear headphones and in-ear ones with active noise cancellation. If you're new around here, hi, I'm Carl. I'm not some trendy tech YouTuber. I'm a very busy dad of young kids with a full-time job. I love tech, but I'm not that interested in the numbers or the tech specs. I'm interested in how it would actually slot into your life and the features you're going to actually use day to day. Now, this design is clearly intended for fitness and exercising. The clue is in the name, they're the Aerofits, and it will quite clearly be excellent for that. But that's not why I was initially interested in these. I was curious to see what they were like for everyday use, because I carry the AeroClip headphones around in my pocket every single day because I love how comfortable open-ear headphones are to use. I far prefer it to in-ear ones with transparency mode on. And most of the time I don't really like being shut off from the world around me too much. It's just personal preference. But there are definitely times when it would be very useful. So the idea of being able to just tilt my headphones in or out of my ear to go from open ear to noise cancelling and then back to open ear again, just, casually back and forward between the two modes while I'm wearing them and walking around, going about my day-to-day life, that really appeals. And after using these a little bit, an obvious real advantage to these is how they sound. I'm so surprised by how rich they sound and how much separation they have for headphones of this style, as well as how consistent they are when moving from in-ear to open ear. It's not just that you can pull the headphones out of your ear with a hinge, they adjust the sound profile as you move that hinge and they go between the two modes. You can hear the sound profile change as you do it in order to get the best out of both modes. The Soundcore Aeroclips I normally use do sound really good, but these definitely sound better. Plus, you get noise reduction. Now, is it the best noise reduction I've ever experienced? No, it's not. But it works, and it's there. It can shut off the sound from an office or a shop around me reasonably well, even while the music playing in the headphones is quite low. It's not market-leading noise reduction, but it's easily good enough for day-to-day use and a huge quality of life increase over normal open-ear headphones, which don't, of course, have any noise cancellation. Sound quality isn't all about what you're listening to, though. Of course, it's also about what other people might be listening to if you use these for phone calls or anything like that. And so this is what the microphones sound like in a quiet environment. In the house, this is the Aerofit 2 Pros, obviously. I'll start making some noises. The kids are calling me, all the rest of it telling me to shush. This is what it would sound like. So the design is much like all the other headphones we've seen that wrap around your ear. There's this long springy hook with a weighted bit at the back, and then the larger headphone itself at the front. All kind of business as usual for the most part, and all using this nice soft touch, skin-friendly silicone material. The difference is this hinge here, which lets you twist the headphone in or out of your ear. Very satisfying to use. Once you get the hang of it, it's not fiddly at all. It has these nice reassuring little tactile clicks when you're moving it. And that's because there are actually 5 position settings to it. But in reality, I don't see why anyone would use anything other than either extreme end, especially because it would be quite fiddly to find position 4 or 5, for example, when it's actually up and on your ear. But that's fine. I've just been treating these as either 2 positions, in-ear or open ear. Simple as that. To put them on your ear, it's easiest to hook the loop around the back of the top of your ear first, then you tuck in the back section to get that into place, and then you hold the headphone and twist it into your ear. Then if you want open ear mode, of course, you just twist that hinge back up into place. They do have controls on them. The bottom half of this area on each of them is a button which has a nice physical click to it, which I definitely prefer to the touch sensitive or tapping style of controls, which I always find quite frustrating. It definitely annoys me on the Aeroclips. With these, you know when you've pressed them, rather than just tapping wildly at the side of your head to try and pause your music. They're also IP55 rated, which is important, of course, because these are primarily sports headphones. They need to be able to deal with a bit of sweat and light rain. Overall, they are very practical and comfortable design. In open ear mode, they feel just as good as any other open ear headphone I've ever tried. And when it comes to the in-ear mode, I would say they aren't quite as comfortable as regular in-ear headphones. As you can see, of course, they don't have a soft tip on the end of them, so they can be a little harsh on the inside of your ears if you're wearing them for an hour or two. But you don't get a great seal as well, of course, audibly. So that's probably why the noise reduction isn't as good as on some other headphones. The over-ear hook, though, helps make this not too big a problem because you don't have to jam the headphone in quite as far into your ear as you would to if it didn't have that hook style. But if you primarily want to be using these in in-ear mode, it might well be a problem for you. The other big trade-off here is this charging case. It's massive. Here it is next to the Aeroclip case, which I normally have in my pocket every single day. And it's a nice case. It's well rounded off, thin, it's comfortable to hold. It's really nicely made. And it has a wireless charging to it as well, which is very handy. But yeah, it's big. There's no getting around that. I think if anything would stop me actually using these day to day, it's probably that, sadly. The Aeroclips are always in my pocket, ready whenever I need them. And I just can't see myself doing that with these, simply because of the size of this case. It's not a problem for their intended use, of course. If you're running with them and you're leaving these in the house, or you're keeping this in your gym bag, it's not really going to matter. But considering I want to use them day to day, could be an issue. As always with Soundcore, the app is really good. It connects easily and reliably and gives you a lot of control over the headphones. Up at the top are some usage tips, which is handy when these are new to you. There's then your noise cancellation settings, which will only let you turn them on when they're in the right position and actually inside your ears. There's a wind reduction toggle as well, which is an interesting one. I don't know how likely you are to actually remember to go into the app and toggle it on when it gets windy, but it is there. The sound effects section is basically your EQs. You can choose from spatial audio, Soundcore's default presets, and a custom EQ, which lets you set different curves for in-ear and open ear modes, which is handy. You also control which device they're connected to from here and what the physical controls do. There's also a switch called gaming mode, which gives you less latency, but it turns off the EQ adjustments and does seem to just make the overall soundstage a bit shallower. Everything just seems a little tiny bit duller with this mode on, but it does lower the latency right down. So that is very handy to have for things like gaming, of course. Then in the settings, you can turn on LDAC or LDAC, which improves audio quality even further, but of course it only works with devices that support LDAC streaming. It will hurt battery life as well, and it turns off that gaming low latency mode, which I just mentioned. You can't use that with LDAC on. The other handy settings feature is that it can play a loud noise out of either earbud if you've lost one. It's very common nowadays, and you're less likely to lose ones this size compared to the really small in-ear ones, but it's really important that it's there. So let's try and sum this up. And I've got to admit, I'm kind of torn with these. For their intended use, fitness and exercising, let's start there. I do really think these are fantastic. Being able to be in open ear mode when you're out running on the streets, and then twist them down for in-ear noise cancelling when you're in the gym, for example. It's fantastic. I can see how incredibly useful that would be. And because they hook around your ears on the top, they're more stable and feel less like they're just likely to fall off your ears than open ear headphones normally do. So for sports use, I would definitely recommend these. But like I said at the beginning, I'm lazy. I don't exercise anywhere near as much as I should do. And so what excited me about these was using them day to day. And I do love them. They sound great. They look great. I love having physical button controls back again. And being able to go between open ear and in-ear noise cancellation modes with just that little twist is incredible when you're walking around day to day. But there's so much here that I really, really want to be using. But would I put up with a larger charging case in order to get those features? And that's where I'm torn. I think it's really going to depend on you, of course, and how you use these and where you keep your charging case. But for me, is this too big to have in my pocket all the time, every single day? Yeah, it is. And if it's not in my pocket all the time, will I still use these as often as I have been using my little aero clips? Don't know. I guess only time will tell really on that. But what do you think? Does the size of this charging case bother you, or is it a non-issue or a trade-off that's well worth it for the extra features? And do you even really value having both open ear and in ear in one set of headphones as much as I do? Leave me a comment down below, let me know. And I now need to get back to my dad chores, and lunch break's nearly over, so I've got to clean that microwave. Thanks for watching.